Hello, and welcome to Aligned and Soulful Success. My name is Kavita Milwani, and I'm a spiritual success and business coach. And I come to you with topics to help you, an empathic business owner, reach your level of success. So, this episode is the wrap up of season three. So, season three of this podcast has been going on for actually almost a year. And I have been excited about all the topics that I've been talking about. So I've just been recording and realized that it was time to reassess everything and to look at what I want to focus on and how I want to work with this podcast, with all of you, and how I can support you as a community and continue to do work that is aligned with myself. And so I will be taking a short break with the podcast, but I will be back. The new episodes will be released in September. So I'll be taking a break for about 4 or 5 weeks. And so in the meantime, I wanted to tell you some of the things that I've learned this last season personally, professionally. And some of these things are not things that I just learned, but were just kind of confirmed, like that I already knew, but I needed more confirmation because as we continue to grow as individuals, personally and professionally, it's like the spiral, right? So we're going up the spiral and it feels like we're in the same place again, like maybe the same challenges or the same issues, but really it's the next level of them as long as you continue to recognize them and continue to work with them and grow. Okay. And so I'm going to share the top five that I learned and that was further confirmed this year. So the first one is that challenges are actually exciting, they're motivating, and they are a way that allows me is to grow. And that if I don't create the challenges myself, then my subconscious mind creates situations around me that are challenging because I need that. So if I don't start to continue to look at how I function on a daily basis, how I run my business, what I'm doing, how I'm marketing, if I don't use those avenues for me to learn and grow and to assess what's working, what I want to change, what are some things I want to try, right? And actually going through and trying those things and not just saying I'm going to try them, but actually following through with that process, that provides that excitement, that it provides that growth. And if I don't do that for myself, then my subconscious mind kind of creates other ways that I'm challenged that are not in alignment with what I want to create and what I want to do and how I want to run my business. So when I've created those challenges, like growth opportunities, they always I always learn something, even if they didn't work out the way that I wanted, right? And so some of the things that I did this year was I hadn't done this in a long time, was I did some master classes and live master classes with coaching. And they were so out of my comfort zone because I haven't done that in a long time, the whole process of it, but also the actual delivering of that. And then I've also applied to be guest speakers. And I actually had one recent opportunity as a guest speaker. I was speaking at the Nutritional Therapy Association because that's one of my certifications, and I was talking to them about, marketing, attracting your dream clients, like what you need to do. And so I loved that opportunity, and then I've continued to apply for more, and it's just like it just creates this level of growth and purpose on a daily basis. So how does this apply to you, right? Look at your life right now and see what challenges are coming up for you. And are they in alignment? Sometimes challenges do come, right? And they're meant for us to learn and grow. But how can you create the challenges that are what you want, right? That actually work towards your goals and the things you want to create. Maybe it's something that you've been talking about doing for a long time, but you just don't do it, right? Because of many reasons. And if that's the case, if there's one thing that you are looking at doing and you haven't done it, that's when you elicit support. So one of the things that helped me with these challenges is having support through masterminds and community and coaches through the processes, even taking courses with support, because I know that I don't know everything and I can learn so much from others. And as long as I know that that's in alignment of what I want to create. So the challenges, right? If I don't create them, they'll be created by my subconscious mind. Do I want them to be in a way that creates what I want? Okay, so the second lesson has to do with relationships. Okay. So relationships are complicated. You have your friendships, you have your acquaintances, you have if your spouse, if you have a spouse, a partner, if you have children, if you have siblings, if you have parents, if you have grandparents, people at school, you have your neighbors. Like our whole world is full of different relationships, including business relationships, right? And as as an empathic entrepreneur, and with the background that I have, coming from this idea of living and navigating two worlds, right? Navigating the world of being the child of immigrants and trying to fit in and continue to have that obligation almost to preserve some of that culture, and then also wanting to fit in and embrace the opportunities available to me. And so it's kind of like a kind of balancing two worlds. With that, relationships, it adds another layer of complexity of relationships, right? And I know a lot of my clients have told me that they've experienced similar challenges, such as the loss of friendships and the loss of relationships for many reasons. And oftentimes it feels out of their control, right? But there are sources of growth. They're sources of growth. If you are able to move towards the discomfort that they provide, you can learn the lessons from those relationships to hopefully not repeat those same patterns, because you're acknowledging what's happening. You're seeing that, you're learning, and you're moving forward, right? And like I said in the beginning, it might be a spiral, and you may be the next level of the challenges in relationships. But then hopefully it is the next level. I know, especially these last few years, I have had people that I thought would be there for me um, my whole life who've actually really betrayed me, and it's been very painful. And betraying for things that, like, honestly, money and things like that, and that's been very painful to accept and to move forward from. And so I've done that to a certain degree. Doesn't mean that I'm not triggered and that it doesn't come up, but I move forward because, if that is the person and that's how they're going to behave and that's what's important to them, then maybe I misjudge them, they changed. There's lots of things. It's complicated, right? A person's perception of a situation comes from their own, like, kind of lens at the time. And then our brain convinces ourselves that what we believe is true, and it gathers information, right? And so I don't know, right? You can demonize the other person, or you can say, well, you know what? Bless and release. So relationships will continue to change and grow, and they're sources of growth. And if I move towards them, I'm able to grow and learn, and also allow myself to feel the discomfort and the pain. Because avoiding that discomfort or the pain, it will rise up in different ways. So, what relationships for you have been complicated these last few years? Have you had friendships that have left? I don't know. So one of the things that I felt is, and I recently listened to a podcast about this, that, friendships we don't really mourn, right? And, like, it's like we lose friendships and it's just we're expected to move on. But when we lose, like, a partner, if let's say you're married and you're divorced, or you break up with somebody, you're expected almost to have a mourning period. But when you lose a friend, that doesn't happen. And it's almost like people don't want to talk about it. It's really even taboo. So that came to my attention this year as well, like how we're not really given the opportunity to process those losses. And for a lot of us, our friendships are important to us. And so losing those friendships are big losses. Okay. So allow yourself to feel and go move towards the pain and process. Okay. Third lesson, major lesson, is judgment is going to happen. Okay, in your life. You can run away from it as much as you want, but judgment is going to happen. And so allowing that experience to be there, and again, moving towards and going towards the emotion that the judgment arises, right? So the judgment can come the form of self-judgment. It can also come in the form of seemingly others judging you. And whenever that happens, that's an opportunity for you, if you're triggered by it, if it bothers you, for you to work on that and go deeper into why that bothers you. And most likely it is stopping you from showing up authentically. Or it's an opportunity. And then it's also important to remind yourself that that's their stuff. They're seeing you through a certain lens, through their own experience, and it's theirs to work with. So the judgment will happen, right? If you've ever spent time reading comments on a post, there's like opposing points of view. And some people say this is the best thing ever. And some people say this is BS, so there's a lot of things that people have different judgments. Does it make one wrong or one right? Who am I to say that, right? And so allowing that judgment, allowing that to happen, and being okay with that, knowing that it's part of the process. And the more that you are out there being authentic, putting yourself out there, you will receive that. And that's okay, because the reward of being yourself and being authentic is much better, is much, let's say, richer than hiding. So the judgment, and then again, accept the feelings and go towards the feelings. Don't avoid the feelings that the judgment rises up. And when it's self-judgment, that's also really important to look at too. So it's given me some opportunities to look at my judgment of myself. And by no means is that a process that is done. It is an ongoing process. And I do think that it's even more difficult in today's world when there's so much, we're surrounded all the time by social media and all these things. And there's like this judgment of physical appearance and judgment of like, look at their lives. It's like this, even if you're not even aware of it, it's happening, right? So that judgment is there, and we'll move towards it, not away from it. My fourth lesson is my subconscious mind is powerful. Okay. And so I knew this before, and which is why I started, when I started my coaching business, I also wanted to learn about hypnosis and regression and really understand the subconscious mind. And I've always, since as far back as I can remember, would read about Carl Jung and dreams and all these aspects that are how complicated our subconscious and conscious minds are. And the thing is if it's really true that our subconscious mind controls 95% of our behavior, that is powerful, right? And so we can work on the surface level thoughts of like affirmations and all of that, which is all beneficial. I'm not saying not to do that. And if you really want to shift the patterns at a deep level, like really looking at the subconscious mind is what's going to help you do that. And the road towards that is the emotion, right? And working with someone just accelerates that process. And when I've worked with a coach, when I'm working with a coach that understands that and helps me move through it, the insights, and it's so much faster than trying to just figure it out on my own through journaling or visualizing or visualizations, right? So the subconscious mind is powerful, and I can either work with it, pay attention to it, by paying attention to my dreams, doing the visualization, seeing what's showing up, or I can ignore it. But if I really want to be a conscious being, and if I really want to create the life that I want, then going towards the subconscious mind and understanding it and working with it is key. And I've been reminded over and over again that is so important this last year. And so it's something that is something that is ongoing for your life. And I work with my subconscious mind, like I said, with coaches, but also, I like to use oracle cards and dreams. Dreams are such a powerful way to look at what's in your subconscious mind, right? So powerful, so important to continue to work with. And then the fifth lesson is that you can only deny what your heart and soul is telling you or calling you to do next for so long. So, when you make a decision and you make a choice, whether it has to do with a career or anything else, immediately you make that decision. And then there is that part of you that gets scared, right? And so questions that choice, questions that decision. And if you let that part of you take over, it'll tell you not to do that, you made the wrong decision. Okay. So, this is not what I'm talking about when I say your heart and soul is talking to you. I'm saying when you've been doing something and doing things a certain way and following things a certain way for so long that you continue to do it, even though your heart is saying something's not right here, there's another way for you to go. But you're afraid, right? Because you've done this for so long, and there's a sense of, are people going to trust me and all of that? So, are people going to trust that I'm being authentic? Are they going to think that for me, one of the things is I'm worrying about like being perceived as um, not stable, right? And that's a high value for me, is to show that I'm grounded and present and stable person, right? That I want to be there for others. I have been misjudged actually in many other ways by others because they don't really know me. They don't really know what's in my heart and what's in my soul. And they make the judgment based on the limited information that they have about me. And that's been something that's happened to me over and over again. And so, because that's been my experience, and that pain from those experiences, it can often stop me from following my heart and following what my soul is calling me to do, right? Because of that pain of being judged again. Okay. So, having said that, you will see some shifts and changes happening with season 4 of Aligned and Soulful Success. And I know that as you've seen over the years, I've allowed that the break between, decided to do seasons so that I could take a break and I can really connect with my heart and soul and see what it is that I want to create and then go forward with that. And this break allows me to do that. And even though that I am using this time to refine and to assess and to create, I kind of have a sense of where I'm going and where my heart has been calling me. And I was hesitating actually to end the season because I knew that then it would be time to make those changes and to face all of it. And it's I'm so privileged to be able to do this work and to support all of you. I'm hoping that you receive some inspiration from what I shared with you today and with this podcast. And so if you feel called to share something, maybe something that I shared in this episode resonated with you, or you've had a similar lessons, or you're experiencing it right now, I'd love to hear from you. And as I'm spending this next month or so, reassessing, I would love to hear from you of what you have been wanting to learn about, right? And so I'll have my contact information in the show notes. And I'd love for you to contact me and tell me, well, you know what? I really, really was hoping you would talk about this topic. Right. And I'd love to do that. I'd love to serve you and to provide information on what you want to know. Okay. And so I'll repeat the lessons. First, our challenges are exciting and they're motivating. You can create them or your brain will create them for you. So it's better to choose. Relationships can be surprising and there are opportunities for growth. And then allowing that mourning process when relationships end, especially for all relationships, but relationships that were not actually culturally supported, the mourning, right? Like friendships. Judgment is going to happen, self-judgment and judgment from others. So if you want to show up authentically, people will show up and have their own lens of judgment. You just accept that that's going to happen. Your subconscious mind is powerful. So you work with it or you can ignore it. But if you want to create a life consciously, then you need to work with it. And that working with coaches, someone that knows how to work with the subconscious mind is going to accelerate that process. And finally, you can only deny what your heart and soul wants for so long before it won't leave you alone. And it can cause a lot of discontent, a lot of disharmony, a lot of kind of um, for me, it was like it's like a sense of restlessness, right? And so don't ignore it. Don't ignore it. Life is too short. So this is Kavita with Aligned and Soulful Success. Again, I'd love to hear from you. And, if you feel called to work together, I have an opportunity for a 20 to 30 minutes session to see where you are and what you need support with. I'll have a link also available in the show notes. And I look forward to next season of Aligned and Soulful Success and look forward to hearing from you. In the meantime, take good care. Bye.